What's up, it's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is gonna be another book haul. It'll consist of all the books that I bought in the month of March. Okay, so taking this thumbnail, first of all, I don't even know if I got any good photos because these book corners were digging into my skin and I was just over it. It looks like a lot more than it actually is. I mean, there are 28 books in this haul. I am aware that I'm filming this very, very late in the month. There's a good chance that this won't be up until the beginning of May, and then I'm gonna have an April book haul a couple weeks after. But these are the consequences of my own actions. So here we are. I'm not gonna combine them because that's too much work. We're gonna stick with the 28 books that I bought in March. April's gonna be a lot bigger because I went crazy. I went wild in April. April has been a depresso month, hence the more book buying. There's a correlation there somewhere. But we're not talking about April, we're talking about March right now, okay? March was an okay month. It was getting worse towards the end. The second half of March is where I bought the majority of these books. But okay, as usual for my book hauls, we're gonna start with gifts because we love to express gratitude on this channel. First three I want to talk about are from Aardvark Book Club. I do have a partnership with them, so they send me books every month of my choice. I got Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle. This is the author of In 5 Years. I believe I talked about this in a vlog when I unboxed this. Essentially, this woman, like when she meets a guy and starts seeing a guy, she knows how long their relationship or thing is gonna be, so they have an expiration date. And I'm just curious to see where this goes because Rebecca Searle tends to put like some sort of magical realism in all her romances, and I'm intrigued to see how this one will play out. Like, is she gonna meet a guy who doesn't have an expiration date and that's like the one, or I don't know, and like how is she gonna go about this, because it's like along the same lines of the feelings of like knowing when you're gonna die, right? So it's like, how do you even approach a relationship like that? Like, do you tell them what's going on and just like make the most of the time you have together, or just end it if you know it's gonna end anyway type thing in terms of the relationship? Knowing when you die is obviously a lot more extreme than knowing when a relationship is expiring. You know what I mean? Like the feelings are the same, the dilemmas are the same, and it's super short, so I'm excited to get to this one. But the one I ended up choosing to read, I try to read at least one Aardvark book a month. The one I decided to read was The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. So I'll talk about my thoughts more in depth in my April wrap up. I actually just finished this the other day. It was decent, it was good. At first I thought it was only the woman who was a werewolf, but both of them, they're both shapeshifters. It's like a workplace romance. They work in the ER, so they understand their like busy schedules and everything. People around them are pretty quirky characters, so I like the characters in this. But yes, this is on Aardvark as well. I think if you liked Bride, you'll definitely like this. I'll refrain from saying my thoughts any further for now. And then the third Aardvark book I got is How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. I just love this cover so much. I just don't know what's keeping me from wanting to start this. I can't remember if it's a more cozy mystery. It looks like a cozier mystery, right? And I just don't know. Maybe it'll take me by surprise. Maybe there's some blood in here. Maybe there's some gore. I don't know. Maybe not gore, but it seems like a fun time. I just love this color palette. I love how like clean and sleek it looks. All the like straight lines. This is a well-designed cover, people. I got What a Match from my girl Christina. Thank you so much. I was going through it. She said, "Because I love you and you deserve it, bitch. Yes, if you need me to hop on a flight, I fucking will." And this is by Mimi Grace. We need to take a second for this cover because it is autumn incarnate. Incarnate? I think it's incarnate, right? Anyway, the epitome of fall. This woman, I think she's a matchmaker. Oh no, she gets a matchmaker. It's best friend's brother. Anthony Woods has had a crush on his best friend's sister. So she is the sister, or sorry, not best friend's brother, brother's best friend trope is what it sounds like. I'm curious about Mimi Grace's writing. All of Mimi Grace's covers are so cute, so I'm interested in reading the rest of the series if I happen to enjoy this one. Another Because You're Going Through It gift, which I appreciate so much. I mean, it's one thing to give me gifts for like milestones and stuff, and like obviously appreciate that as well. Y'all don't have to give me gifts at all, but like when I'm sad, gifts, they really hit the feels. And this is another one from one of my patrons. Well, Christina's a patron too, but one of my other patrons, Megan, she also kindly gifted me Milk Fed by Melissa Broder, which is so fitting because she lives and breathes the Pisces by this author. I believe we also both love Death Valley. I still have to read the Pisces, but now I have this as well on my shelves. I think Melissa Broder's writing is hilarious. I think it's so honest. It's my type of lit, thick, and dry humor. Also sorry if you can hear that. I don't know what's happening. I believe this is the last gift in this haul. A subscriber from the UK named Kasha sent me this book and a few other goodies like chocolates and stuff, and it was so freaking sweet, especially because it got lost in the mail because I changed addresses and it like forwarded and then it got sent back to her, and it was just a mess, but she persevered and she sent it back to me because it's Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison, and Rachel Harrison is one of my favorite authors of all time now. This is the only one I haven't read so far. I'm actually in the middle of the e-arc for her next book, So Thirsty. I finished that and then I'm gonna get to this straight away, hopefully. And by straight away, I mean after a few more books in between. But this is Rachel Harrison's short story collection. There are 4 dark tales in here. It says friendship, heartbreak, hauntings, and the occasional blood sacrifice. I love horror books with bright covers like this. I mean, I love a good dark cover, but bright colors are just so like misleading, and there's just something about it, especially like a bright pink for a horror cover. Speaking of, we can move on to Thirst by Marina. I don't know how to say that last name, and I'm not gonna try to butcher it, but Marina Y. This is translated by Heather Cleary, and it's translated from Spanish, and this was the first book I read in April. My thoughts will also be in my April wrap-up. I also have a vlog where I read this. This is a sapphic vampire story. It's more like literary horror, but it definitely has some bloody vampire scenes, so if you're into that, definitely check this out. I've seen this going around Bookstagram a bunch. My patrons were the ones who recommended this to me, so I'm glad I picked it up, and I found a cheaper copy on Pango, so that was nice. I did like the first half more than the second half. First half is very reminiscent of A Dowry of Blood, just in like themes and kind of the poetic-ish writing. Keep that in mind as well. We're gonna move on to another pink cover that's right in front of me. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. So this is a romance. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and really the only difference is that these pink flowers are foiling. This is a companion sequel novel, whatever, to Kennedy Ryan's other book. What the fuck was it called? Before I Let Go. And I refuse to read that book because it has themes that I just don't care to read about and don't want to read about, and makes me kind of cramp when I read things like that. It's about like stillborn babies, and I think it is a second chance romance, which is a buzzword for me, but all those other things I can live without. So I'm just gonna go straight into this one because I heard this one is a lot about like self-love, dating yourself, and just putting you first. That's what got me. I watched Becoming Laulu. I think that's her channel name, but I'll link that video down below if I remember, because it fully convinced me to hit add to cart with this book. I got this on Pango as well. Oh, it looks like there's also a single dad in here. I'm excited to get to this one eventually. Next, I have Talking at Night by Claire Daverly. I feel like I've talked about this so many times, but this is often compared to Normal People, so of course I had to snatch it up. I've been eyeing it for like a year now, and I was just like, okay, I think it's time, because I don't really feel like rereading Normal People at the moment. So I'm like, let me just get something super similar. I did start this. I got like 6 pages in and I was like, okay, I'm not in the mood for sad lit fic right now, but it did give that Normal People vibe, that melancholy. It's about 2 people, and I think they're just continuously just like on and off. I don't know if it's like on and off officially, or if it's like I want you but I don't want you type thing. I don't know what it is, but anything compared to Normal People, I'm there. I'm sold. Next, a very different vibe. That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human by Kimberly Lemming. So this is actually the last book in the series that I have yet to read, including the novellas in the Mead Mishap series. I read Mistletoe and I read A Bump in Boo Hale. This is the last book that's out right now. I don't know if there are any more books in this series, but this one just came out with the cover remakes in like February, I think. I really enjoyed That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. Surprisingly, I really like that one. Second book, not so much. The novellas, also not so much, but I heard this one's good. I heard it gets better. I'm stoked to see where I stand. Next, we have a horror, The Haunting of Elkwood by Gwendolyn Kist. I have not read from this author before, but I do own Reluctant Immortals. I just love this creepy, eerie cover. I like the yellow with the black and white. I like how short this is. This was on my April hopefuls, but I have not gotten to it yet. It will be read soon though, because I keep side-eyeing it. This is about a creepy small town. It says it's a suburban ghost story about a small town that trapped 3 young women who must confront the past if they're going to have a future. So it sounds like a lot of like small town creepy horror, right? Something about this is just like speaking to me. I believe Sarah from Wicked Reading really enjoyed this one. Can't remember if I watched her wrap up or not. I remember her mentioning it. But there's also occult theorists, tabloid 1-hour documentaries, pseudoscientific investigations, and she's trying to figure out what happened to her mom, I think. Y'all know I go into books as blindly as possible, but there's the gist of that. We're gonna move on to Stitches by Hirokazu Tatsu Kahara and illustrated by Junji Ito. I did read this one like the day after I got it in the mail. I bought this on release day. I thought it was a manga all the way through, but there is a manga in the back by Junji Ito, but everything else is like short stories in prose, but with illustrations. It still goes by super quickly though. I read this in one sitting. I did enjoy a lot of the stories, not all of them of course, but again, it's gonna be on my April wrap up. No, it was in my March wrap up. So I'll link my March wrap up down below. Next we have a fantasy called Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. This I believe has dragons, shining pearl of human civilization, and a safe haven for those fleeing civil unrest. There's a half siren. It's a semi-flooded city where humans are on top, peering down from shining towers and aerial walkways on the Fathom Folk, which are sirens, sea witches, kelpies, and kappas who live in the polluted waters below. There's a water dragon, a Fathom Folk princess who's exiled to the city under Mira's watch. When extremists sabotage a city festival, violence erupts, as does the clampdown on Fathom Folk rights. They must decide if the cost of change is worth paying or if Tian Kawi should be left to drown. I don't know. I like the cover. It sounded interesting, so I got it off of Pango once again because I didn't want to pay full price for it. Southeast Asian influenced fantasy with razor sharp edges. Next, I have a special edition of a book called A Long Time Dead by Samara Breger. I honestly hate this cover. I don't like the art style of it. I like the original cover of this book, but this is what got me. And it was $6 on Pango. And the end pages, and then the fangs on the cover and the back. So I was like, yep, $6 on Pango. I don't even care. I'll deal with the ugly cover. It's really not that bad. It's just the original was so much better. It's more my style. This is okay. I just love the blood drips. Anyway, this is a vampire story, if you couldn't tell. Set in 1837, London. They encounter scores of vampires, shifty pirates, conniving opera singers, ancient nobles, glamorous French women, and a found family that throws a very particular sort of party. But overhead threat looms. One woman who is capable of destroying everything. I mean, of course, I saw vampire and I was like, yeah, give it to me. I saw the original cover and I was like, yeah, give it to me. It sounds good. Ooh, wow. Sometimes special editions have such tiny ass font and like for what? And like thin ass pages too? For what? I don't even know which. Oh, unplugged book box. And it says a lush Victorian romance drenched in blood and drama about the lengths two women will go to secure a love that cannot die. Sounds sapphic, so there's another plus. Next, we have a historical fiction. The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. Y'all have heard of this. Y'all have seen this. I got this for $8 at an indie bookstore, so love that. It's a brand new book, just has a little bit of damage in the corner. A brand new release is what I meant to say. This is during the Great War. There's a combat nurse who searches for her brother, believed dead in the trenches despite eerie signs that suggest otherwise. A hauntingly beautiful historical novel with a speculative twist. And this is the author of Catherine Arden. I've seen a lot of people... The author of Catherine Arden. Oh my god. This is the author of The Bear and the Nightingale, which I also haven't read. I don't think I've read anything by Catherine Arden. Yes, I have. I read Small Spaces. That's the same author, right? Yeah. Small Spaces and the two books after that. Small Spaces. Dark Waters is the third one. What's the second one? I have it. It's in the winter. What the fuck is it called? I don't remember, but that series. I've read 3 of her books. This is adult, and those were middle grade. So we'll see how her writing translates to the adult genre. But I've heard good things about this one. I think some people are finding it boring, but it's historical fiction, so there are going to be people who find it boring, inevitably. But I hope I like it though. The other book that I got for $8 at this used section of this indie bookstore is Age of Vice by Deepti Kapoor. The floppiest bitch ever. I thought it was an ARC. It feels like an ARC, but it's not. This is so intriguing to me. I don't know. Ever since it came out, I was like, this seems a little too big brain for me, but at the same time, I really want to read it. So $8, steal. Money, pleasure, and power are everything, and the family ties that bind can also kill. I just know it's like 3 a.m. This is set in India, and there's like a Mercedes or something that like flies into a wall, right? Jumps the curb. 5 people are dead. It's a rich man's car. It's just a crime thriller, but I think it's more of a slow burn thriller because it's so long. I just know the chapters are pretty short for the most part. I want to read this so soon. Also, just realized that these little polka dots are fucking people. They're faces, they're profiles, they're silhouettes. I thought they were just like paint splatters. Wow, you learn something new every day. Next, we have A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. This is, I believe, a Frankenstein reimagining, and that's kind of all I needed to know. It also, I was gonna say it has the same vibe as the cover of Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, and the blurb is by Delilah S. Dawson. Ripe lush flesh and bursting with beauty and horror. It will delight, amuse, and terrify. I've only heard good things about this. An extraordinary tale of family, fungus, and more than a dash of bloody revenge from an exciting new voice in queer horror. I don't really need to know anything about this. I love this spine, floral spine. This is like a perfect spring book, so I'm excited to get to it before the summer, hopefully. Simon and Gregor live in a botanical garden. Victorian London. For Simon, this means working his taxidermical art. Gregor's business is exotic plants, lucrative but harmless. Harmless enough. There's a strange fungus. If you like plant horror, here you go. Oh, speaking of, along the same vein, kind of, In the Roses of Pieria. I've hauled this before, but this is the Twisted Retreat edition. There's a reversible dust jacket as well. Just very floral and mushroomy, so we're keeping it on this side. But there's the front, the naked cover, back, and then the end pages. This was recommended to me by Destiny for my 12 Rex by 12 Vamps project, so I will be reading this soon. I'm still deciding which edition to read because I have the indie paperback from Amazon. This is a fantasy romance with vampires, dark academia, plant horrors, and terrifying fungal fae. Need I say more? Next, we have Green Dot by Madeline Gray. So I've been seeing this around and I was like, okay, this looks like my type of book, easy peasy, like hands down, just by the cover. It's like simple, seems like she's going through it, seems like it's gonna be one of those lit fics that I can relate to. Don't like this though. Something about this character. Not a fan of this art style with like the dots as the eyes, but this sounds really good. Megan bought it and I was like, yeah, that's the sign for me to buy it. It says an irresistible and messy love story about the terrible allure of wanting something that promises nothing. It's about a 24-year-old trying to figure shit out. Again, need I say more? Next we have The Fetishist by Catherine Min. A bunch of these books, I went to Barnes & Noble one day and I had all of them in my hand and I was like, let me check Pango for cheaper copies, and there were always cheaper copies, so this was another Pango buy. And this hilariously savage, poignant novel by acclaimed author Catherine Min, a grieving daughter's revenge on the man who caused her mother's death, sets off a series of unexpected reckonings. Y'all know I love a revenge story. This title makes me uncomfortable with this cover, and it's an Asian author, so those are all the reasons that I bought this book. I have no idea when I'm gonna get to it. I had it as one of the poll options for my Patreon Bloody Read, but it didn't win. Ooh, the chapters are short. Ooh! Ooh! Maybe soon. Maybe in May. Alright, another book that came in that Twisted Retreat box. Sometimes I guess they do the 2-book situation. I got Sugarcane by Cassandra Celia. I saw the original cover and I think I did like this one more. Work, Eat, Sleep, Repeat. And then it has shiny silver foiling on the edges. Ooh, I forgot about that. The end pages, that's so creepy. So creepy. I have no idea what this is about and I don't even know where the... Wow, wow, wow. Such a well-crafted book. I don't know where the synopsis is. Oh, and it's signed. There's no synopsis on the back or the inside. Google and Goodreads are free. There you go. This book exists, she said. Next we have Fever House by Keith Rawson. This is one of those books that I always walked past and stared at and opened and flipped through. And I was like, I don't need it. Why do I need this? When am I gonna read this? I'm just gonna get it from the library. And I did get it from the library. And I kept it on my library cart thing for months and months and months and months. And so I was like, you know what? It's time. Like, clearly I want this book on my shelves. That cover is just everything. I just can't get over this cover. I love it so much. It's a horror. It's kind of the vibe of like dude bro horror, but we're gonna try to look past it. It's set in Portland. Hutch Holtz rolls up to a rundown apartment complex in Portland to collect overdue drug money. A severed hand is the last thing he expects to find stashed in the client's refrigerator. That's what it was. The severed hand. It kind of reminded me of the movie Talk to Me, which I loved. So I'm hoping it gives me some type of similarity. The chapter headings are so cool too. They're like blood splatters. And I want to say music is involved. Oh yeah, Pulp Fiction meets punk rock. A punk rock Da Vinci Code. As secret agents, hoodlums, and the son of a dead rock star get drawn into the orbit of a severed hand with dark powers in this awesomely blood-soaked, thrillingly entertaining horror noir mashup. And that's a blurb by CJ Tudor. Yeah, it's just long. I don't know when I'm gonna get to this, but I really definitely want to read this next time I'm in a chunky horror mood. At the same time I got that one from Pango, I also got Edenville by Sam Rebeline. This is another one that I checked out from the library and returned to the library at the same time as Fever House and just purchased on Pango instead. I believe this is about an eerie small town, an unsettling, immersive, and wildly entertaining debut from an exciting new voice in horror for fans of Paul Tremblay and Stephen Graham Jones. Edenville College invites him to join as a writer in residence. He's convinced that his bad luck has finally taken a turn. His girlfriend isn't so sure. She grew up near Edenville and has good reasons for not wanting wanting to move back. Something wrong with Edenville. Picturesque sunflowers dotting the sidewalks. Poison lurks beneath the surface. Dark and disturbing history. Equal parts horror and humor. There's urban legends. It sounds like a classic horror story where someone moves back to their hometown and realizes there's some shit that they didn't realize before, or like there's some curse or something like that. I don't even know. But it's signed with a signature. This is a shorter horror. I know my friend Sarah from Sarah's Shelves wasn't a huge fan of this one. I know a couple patrons didn't really like this one as well, but I have a semblance of hope, you know? I don't know why. I just love this cover. I love sunflowers. I've always loved sunflowers. The only flowers I actually like that are real. Usually fake flowers are fine with me, but the house in the center, I love it. Moving on to You with a View by Jessica Joyce. I cannot explain why I randomly bought this book. I remember it was like early in the morning and I was just like, oh, I've been seeing this a lot. I like the cover. I'm gonna get it. And I've been hearing so many good things about this. Two former high school enemies must reunite for a road trip inspired by their grandparents' broken engagement in this electric debut romance. I love road trips in books. It sounds like something I'd like for some reason. I don't know. I know Christina bought this months ago and I had no interest in it, and then all of a sudden I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm gonna get this off of Pango, and here we are. Next we have my Lair Bloody read for the month of April, which is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Iyemide, author of Ace of Spades. I loved Ace of Spades. This is what's throwing me off. Ready? Look how small this font is. Look how narrow those margins are. Where are they? This is YA and it's dark academia. I'm excited to see, you know, the similarities and differences between this and Ace of Spades. I heard this one's slower, so I'm nervous, but I still have a few days. Our discussion is on May 5th for my top 2 tiers on Patreon. My Patreon link is always down below. We have the Discord where we do like video chats and stuff, and Discord sprints, and we talk every single day. We have buddy reads, we have exclusive sprints, exclusive videos, there's lifestyle stuff on there, photo dumps, videos with Joey, etc, etc, etc. So if you would like to be a fellow vamp, I would highly appreciate getting to know you more. There's that spiel. Then I have The Fervor by Alma Katsu. I don't know why this has been calling to me for months as well, and then I found it for cheap on Pango. There's a pattern here, I know. But Joey read The Hunger, and ever since then I was looking at Alma Katsu's books, and this one was one of them because I think there are like spider demons in this one. Alma Katsu writes historical horror. Oh wait, no, this wasn't from Pango. This was also $8 from that indie bookstore. Has the used sticker on it. Never mind, I lied. This one is set in 1944 as World War II rages on. The threat has come to the home front. Psychological and supernatural horrors of the Japanese-American internment camp. So yeah, I feel like there are gonna be some emotionally hard-hitting parts in this, but it sounds good. I just hope it's not as slow as Joey said The Hunger was. It would be my first Alma Katsu. 2 more, y'all. 2 more that I read. So I'm not gonna talk about them too much, but I have a 5-star book. I mean, I guess spoiler for my April wrap-up, but this is my best book of April. It's going to stay my best book of April because I've been in a slump of 3 stars and below lately. So this one really stood out for April. It's a psychological thriller, but it's very slow burn, but it's slow burn but fast paced. Does that make sense? It's quick to read because there's a lot of white space and page breaks and like staccato sentences. It's an obsession story. It's so good. And the epilogue, Yep. And then I'm just gonna link the live show for this one down below because it was my full moon book club for the month of April, and I actually just had the discussion with my friend Tatiana yesterday, so I'll link that live down below. But the book was So Let Them Burn by Camila Cole, and it's a book that I read and discussed with Tatiana. When you have to hit the word count. But no, it's a YA fantasy book with dragons. There's a sister dynamic, kind of. I'll just let y'all wait for my April wrap up once again. But look at me go with reading a bunch of books that I just bought. The fact that I even said the words I'll talk about this in my April wrap up is wild because that means I read it right away. Granted, I got these in March, but still. So that is everything. Whew. Let me know if you've read any of these books, which books you want me to prioritize, maybe, possibly. I'm trying to think of an emoji. Just put one of the money emojis. I think there are a bunch, right? Like there's one that where the money is like flying away. Do that one. Or any of those money emojis. There's a bunch of them because spent a lot of it these past couple months. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a vampy day. Don't forget to do some self-care today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.